right. Welcome to a very special edition of the Forum Thread Podcast. As some of you may have noticed, we did not have a podcast last week because most of us anyway, were at RTX.
Wasn't able to get off.
Don't make fun of me.
It's my fault, I know.
So, this week here, I am your host, Dark One Dre, and here with us today we've got Chaos Mana,
Woohoo!
Mr. Fusion,
Hello, everybody.
and dear, sweet Meta Legacy, who was not able to be at RTX.
Everybody
You sound
point
like
and laugh
you sound
at
like
Meta.
you're giving some sort of tribute. Like we've just
You're
lost
making
Meta.
fun of me.
I weep for you and your inability to experience the most awesome thing in Rooster Teeth history.
I
to
told
date.
you.
No,
why
that's
I
not how you
wasn't
say it. You're
going.
supposed to
Don't
say.
judge me.
You're supposed to say the most awesome thing ever. Of
You
all time.
Well,
missed
I
the
haven't experienced-
WrestleMania of Rooster Teeth, and what do you expect? You're going to be made
Yeah.
fun of.
Yeah, that's right.
Silly Banshee.
But Chaos, I have not experienced all the things yet, so I can't say it's the best thing ever. It's just the best thing on Rooster Teeth for now.
What do you mean?
Okay,
all
I'm
the
kind of
things?
torn. What are we going to talk about tonight, guys? I don't know if we have any content, so.
Yeah, like I was telling you guys before, I was planning on having my little dossier that highlighted all the places that I went to and people that I met, but it's got up and walked away, so I have
Well,
no
first-
plan tonight.
First of all, I think it was the way that they handled the main stage. I love the way that they had like all 8 screens more often than last time. I feel like the basically the overall camera control and how they switched in between it was really nice, as if it was a Let's Play. Like they could have probably cut up that Assassin's Creed playthrough when all 6 are doing it. They could have probably just kept that and not had to do too much editing. It was really nice at the way they did that.
I guess I'm not going to be talking much then.
No, you're probably not. But let me stop you there, Chaos. First, we should probably establish who was actually there last year. I know this was my first year, and I was kind of blown away. You were there last year. Were you also there last year, Mr. Fusion?
No, I was not. I went to the first one. I did not go to the second. So
Why not?
I missed out. Work.
Were you at the first one, Chaos?
If I had known about RT back then, I would have been.
All right, so
But
Mr. Fusion was at the
sadly,
first.
I came in too late.
You were at the second, and we were all at the third.
I
I'm
wasn't.
gonna try out
What are you talking
just
about?
Except for
because
Meta.
I want to experience it from that way. I almost want to just say, I'm tempted to try out for a Guardian. I'm not sure.
Now you're making fun of me, Dark.
No, it's.
I wouldn't
Let me
do
go ahead and
that.
say this. I was a Guardian this year, and it's very rewarding and it's very demanding on you physically.
Yeah, we didn't get
you
to
would-
see you the whole time.
See, let me just say this, guys. I apologize because I tried my best to work around my quote unquote work schedule to meet up with you guys. It turned out everyone had to find me out wherever I was in the convention area, and if you did talk to me, it was just for a short time. 'cause
Oh yeah,
I was
like,
always busy.
When I was trying to meet you one time, and you were like, "Oh, I'm at the Achievement Hunter Lounge." I walk over there. Oh, I'm with Bernie. What the heck?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
funny because he goes, "Where are you right now?" I said, "I'm at the Achievement Hunter Lounge." He goes, "Okay, I'm over here." And I said, "Okay, I'm with Bernie right now. Sorry."
Yeah, I was there with Chaos when he was texting you that, and he says, "Look at this. He says he's with Bernie now." Like the hell? Well, at least he's popular enough to be helping Bernie, I guess. That's
well,
something.
what that was that morning, Kara and Bernie were doing autograph signing. No, Kathleen and Bernie were doing signings. And for those that didn't attend, there was so much about RTX this year from what I was told from last year that they've improved tremendously on. It was mostly the lines and all that, but the problem is that last year there were about 4,000 attendees. This year we went to 10,000 attendees. When you more than double that, you open up floor space upstairs, but the problem with that is that there are just so many people there in one area, and the autograph signings for the Rooster Teeth cast were in the center of the main floor downstairs. What's the big deal you say about that? The problem is that right around the corner you have Halo 4. Around that corner you have the Gauntlet Season 2 auditions. Around that corner you have Iron Gaming, and then a few steps away you have the main hall.
Ow!
What was that?
He's
Meta's
playing
just going
Halo.
That was me getting shocked by getting splattered by a ghost. That doesn't happen to me too often.
So anyway, the big problem is that whenever the more popular cast and crew were doing their autograph
Stop
signings,
shooting at me.
the lines became a disaster. People were fighting, and then congestion in the main floor. Well, I'm not gonna say
No,
fighting.
I didn't see any
became-
fighting. I'm a
I'm-
little bit
I
sad I
apologize.
missed it.
Not fighting, but like arguing with the Guardians, trying to say, well, I'm trying to get in, and I understand everybody feels, hey, I paid $50, I should be able to get a signature, and I think Bernie addressed this at the very end of the convention. Bernie had a panel until 5:45 on Sunday night. And actually, it was supposed to be till 5:30. He stayed 15 minutes after to sign autographs and chit chat with attendees of the panel. And then on his way down, a couple of us were security to get him out of the convention hall. But the problem is that he was mobbed by attendees after 6 o'clock. That were basically at 6 o'clock the doors were closing to the hall, and people were allowed to just kind of linger around in the hallway of the convention center. And a few people saw him. And the way it works is if somebody says the person's name, everybody hears it, and it's very Pavlovian where they all run towards that person. So you hear Bernie, hey Bernie, everybody turns, looks, and runs that way. So, and Bernie's such a really cool guy. He was such a wonderful person to work with. Very nice, wasn't rude to anybody, signed as many autographs as he could. And while he was doing that, people were, throwing recommendations out like, man, I tried to get signatures. And he's like, look, guys, I understand. He goes, but, there's 10,000 of you guys. There's only X amount of us. There's just not enough of us to sign all the autographs for you guys. We try to do what we can. And he was really cool about it. So, but that day when I tried to meet up with you guys, I was upstairs doing security, then walking downstairs, and then I was asked to go to Achievement Hunter to check out the line and make sure they needed any help. So when I went over there, that's when you guys were like, "Hey, where are you?" I'm at Achievement Hunter. Well, then a minute later, I get a text from my lead, and she's like, "Can you come back over to Bernie, because that's where I started in the morning? Can you come back over here? The lines are really a mess." So I went back over there to help them kind of clear things up, and that's when I was like, "I'm back over here with the autograph signing." So yeah, it was kind of a hectic time.
Like, how did you guys decide what each Guardian would be doing?
Well, they had everybody sectioned off, and they had leads. So they had a line manager lead, well, several of those. They had security leads, technology leads, registration leads, exhibit hall floor leads, and then they broke those up, and they had Guardians working under their teams. I was in the group called Floaters, and basically we did everything. Wherever they needed us, and there were only about 13 of us Floaters. Apparently there were 26, and half of them dropped out, couldn't go. So
Every time you call yourself a floater like
Floater.
that, it reminds me of the aliens from the XCOM series.
I just think of a big turd in a toilet when I say the word floater. But there could have been more of us, which I think that's kind of what we recommended, was more of us, because we were filling in as needed. So if somebody had been in the line management for 2 or 3 hours and needed a break, we went down there, filled it until either another line person or they came back. So pretty much I was everywhere all weekend, just everywhere.
And also we did learn how important, like if you want to go to a panel, you have to be determined to go to the panel.
Yeah,
You have to
And
camp out
the
at least an hour
podcast-
early. Damn.
more than that.
The podcast one was like one of the prime examples. We went there like 2 hours early. We walked down the long line that had already started forming.
Well, that podcast was at 9:30 was it Saturday or Sunday? Saturday, right?
It wasn't at 9:30. I thought it was at 12. Yeah, it was like
Okay.
at 12 or 1.
12 or
12:30
1.
something like
Okay, well, that morning the Achievement Hunter panel went on, if I recall correctly. The Achievement Hunter panel was at 9:30 in that same hall. There was a big hall upstairs that was the main panel room, and it seated 2,500 people.
Mhm.
Well, I got to the convention center that morning at 6 o'clock, and I was drinking my coffee. While I was walking down, I see a bunch of kids in line in front of the closed upstairs escalator, just sitting downstairs in front of it, and I'm like, okay. I looked at them, I said, "Let me guess, Achievement Hunter?" Yeah. So they were waiting 3.5 hours early for the Achievement Hunter panel, and then I went upstairs, and there were even more kids up there. There were about 100 people already in line at 6 o'clock in the morning. So, and then there were a few people that were trying to get in line already for the podcast panel. I mean, they were like I told the family. I was telling a lot of parents that were there with their kids, pretty much con protocol. Whenever you get your schedule, you look at each day. You figure out what's the big thing you want to do that day, whether it's a signature, a panel, anything, main stage, something, and you plan to be there at least 2 hours early, at least.
I can see you standing there, like, repeating that over and over and over again.
I did ad nauseum. I did.
In the lines that I was standing in, I had the rainbow-haired guardian, and as he was lining us up, he had talked to a small group of us of like 4 or 5. He's like, okay, I need you guys to line up, four to a row so we can compact you all. And then he'd step to the next group of people. I need you to line up 4 in a row, and like all the way down the line, he just repeated the same thing over and over. And then everyone would get the same look on their face, like, what is it you want us to do? So instead of just like turning and looking what everyone in front of them was already doing, he would have to explain to them what they should be doing. So it literally took the poor guy like half an hour to get down the road just telling people, I need you to line up 4 at a time to compress this line.
No,
that was a line management seems like one of the most boring parts of the job, but it also seems like a really stressful thing because I can't imagine having to say, the same, oh, you can't come in here yet, to 5,000 people that walk by you.
Allowed to have cattle prods.
I made a joke about that to Barbara in our little chats. Like we had a Guardian chat a couple times, and I made jokes about bringing cattle prods. But there was a couple of times where I bet the line management people were like, "God, I could use a cattle prod right about now."
Yeah, that'd get everyone's attention and move everybody right where they needed to go. Just threaten to zap them with that thing.
Why was no one using any microphones?
Hey, Dark, didn't I say something about a cattle prod to you in a message?
I think so. Yeah, that's right. Because you were messaging me over Rooster Teeth while we were at RTX. That was you. You had mentioned. So have they brought out the cattle prods yet? I'm like, no, but I'm watching. I know if I were a Guardian right now, I would have one hidden on me somewhere.
Hey, you should carry around like something that had like giant foam hammers that say band hammers or something like that.
Like, watch out! Here comes the Guardian with his epic band hammer.
He literally whacks you.
Oh my God! Double rainbow.
If you're actually banned from the convention.
Like, take him out, hit him upside the head with it. Bam! You are banned, bitch.
Well, there were a couple of people that were escorted out, but not.
I didn't get to see anybody escorted out. I think
for the most part, attendees were on their best behavior, which I really appreciate. We didn't hear too many. We had some lost kids, etc. But
yeah, who goes to an RTX convention and loses their kid? Jeez, that's what
you
microchips are for.
Here's a good one. So we had like a 14-year-old kid that got lost, another little kid that got lost. The first one was, I think he was like 9 or 10, and he was lost for like 4 hours.
Oh gosh.
And everyone.
Yeah, I heard the announcements for that like over and over again.
Yeah, you know where he was? He was standing in line the whole fucking time in Achievement Hunter, and everyone. And he was so distinguishable in that he was wearing yellow tennis shoes. I'm like, how the hell do you not find a kid with yellow tennis shoes? I'm like, seriously, all you have to do is walk down that line. And they said there were about 4 Guardians that were like, we went down that line like 5 times. Well, you didn't go down and fucking look at the shoes. You can't miss the yellow shoes. But
well, did they have a full picture of him?
They had a picture of him and everything. Yeah.
Wow, that's a little sad. If those Guardians are listening to this podcast right now, I'm disappointed in all of you.
No, everybody did their part, but I think what it was is just there were so many people in that. The achievement, let's be real, Achievement Hunter was just so packed from day one, and it never let up. Achievement Hunter, those guys are popular as all shit, man.
No, I'll tell you what was my jaw-dropping moment. I knew the Ruby panel was going to be crazy, but until I had no interest in going to go see the Ruby panel. I figure I'll watch it when I get back. But the amount of people that were lined up for that, the line like snaked around itself like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, what the hell? Are there really this many people that are trying to squeeze into that room? And I saw a picture of of the size of the room that this was all going to happen. I'm like, these people are not all going to fit in there.
Yeah.
So wait,
FYI,
wait.
Dark,
Was the
we've got
Ruby panel in
Dark
like the
Headroom going on right
podcast
now.
room, or was it in a smaller room? Like, I mean, the RT podcast room, the main.
No, it was
ballroom?
in the main. It was in the main room. Yeah, Ruby was, and I think people started getting in line like 4.5 hours early for that.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. People, because they had another major panel in there, and before, and people were like, "Okay, can I just stay through?" No, you can't stay through. Well, can I just no? You know,
It's
I
funny because
understand
that was like
people
the
were
first
excited.
thing that they announced was you cannot stay. That's I mean, it was
Well,
everywhere.
they had that issue last year where people were
number one
trying to just
rule.
stay through. Yeah.
People just they're
Yeah,
oh
but
they're
yeah,
so
yeah,
stupid.
that's one of the things. Like, Dark had the problem of like, I was like, you need to be here. We're already in line for the Achievement Hunter animated, or not Achievement Hunter animated, the RT animated adventures.
Uh-huh.
And then like he was like, no, I can't because I'm still in a panel. And he's like, oh, I'll just catch it in a bit. And I was like, no, you won't.
Well,
It's
that
not
was
just like you could just walk in whenever
There was
you
one of those
want, yeah.
instances where if it wasn't going to be packed, I would catch it. If it was going to be packed, then I would just go do something else. As that was not one of the items on my list that I wanted to definitely go see for the day. We just kind of added it on when we were talking about what we were going to be doing the next day. I'm like, okay, so it would be an hour because there was a full hour after the panel that I was in let out and the time that panel started, and if it was going to be already packed by the time by the time you had an hour to wait, then oh well, it was just one of those.
Yeah, the difference was it was the last panel, like, so there'd be that everyone's like, okay, we're done in the main room, we're just gonna go to this thing, last thing, this is what we're gonna do, and then we're gonna go home. So that's why everyone was trying to go to the remaining 4 panels.
Well, and you have to understand that, like I said, that main panel hall held almost 2,500 people. Well, you can imagine there's a lot of people on the upstairs on the 4th floor in line for other panels, people walking up and down, just checking things out on top of all that. So what we had to do was we had to shut down one set of escalators and made them both go downward and direct people that way. When the Ruby panel let out, I remember I was walking around at that point, and Chris grabbed a couple of us. We went upstairs, and he's like, "Can I get a couple of guys?" So our goal, what we did was basically just say, "Okay, go this way, folks. This way, folks. If you want to catch the Halo 4 panel, go to your right. If you want to go downstairs, go to your left." Yep. Yeah, but you know what? It was cool.
I like how they had to use an entire extra floor for the line for the RT podcast. Like all the panel rooms were on the 4th floor. Everything else was on the 1st floor, but we had to wait on the third floor. And
yeah.
we like looped around.
That was
hallway.
a change the night before because of the Ruby panel. The Ruby panel is what kind of, and the good thing is we were. I'm going to say this. I made a comment about the Achievement Hunter people not finding the kid or whatever. It's kind of in jest. Everybody I worked with was super awesome, man. They were like the kindest people, all ages, from 18 to I think there were some 50-something Guardians that were Rooster Teeth fans, and that's awesome. A diverse mix from different locations, and everybody worked their ass off. And the main thing was we all adapted, and like. The Ruby, we learned the whole issue. The getting in line and getting out was just chaos, pardon the pun. But then we went to the next day for the Rooster Teeth podcast. They were like, okay, the night before, what we're going to do is the 3rd floor is empty. Rather than having, I don't know, you went to Ruby, right, Chaos?
I would
No.
have, but I wasn't.
Okay.
Wasn't that like
Well,
right in the morning?
Yeah, so what happened was they were creating the line around the entire 4th floor, and then it went downstairs to the 1st floor, and that's where they made the mistake. So they learned from that. So when the podcast panel started forming the next day, they said, okay, we're going to use the 3rd floor, and so we kind of adapted. Like the other example was the signatures were in the main hall in the middle of the convention center floor.
That seemed kind of poorly planned.
That was kind of a bad idea. But did you see what we did the last day?
You moved it into an entire different room.
Yeah, we moved it into Hall 5 because registration was empty. And here's the other cool thing. Here's a cool fact for you guys. There was about 10,000 badges. There were roughly between 9 and 10,000 badges sold. Check this out. The first day, 85% of the attendees registered the first day.
I registered
mean,
the day in advance. I got badge
Yeah,
number 369.
wow, because you were there early. That's right.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the fact that almost 90% of the people that were coming to RTX got it done the first day. That made registration. It was hell for them that day. That first day was just hell on earth because of all
Oh
the work
yeah. I can
but
imagine.
yeah.
When Ken and I got there, because we had registered the day before, and we got there for the first day, and we're looking, and I'm seeing this huge line, and I'm trying to, because I've never actually been to any sort of convention, anything, along the lines of what RTX is. And so I'm looking at people, I'm like, okay, I don't see these guys with badges, but I'm seeing people walking around the opposite direction that have badges. And I'm seeing a couple Guardians floating around. I'm like, okay, let's just ask. Like, okay, we registered the day before. Where do we need to go to actually get in? I'm seeing this big ass line here, but I don't see badges on them. So where do we need to go? And like, oh, if you registered yesterday, you just walk clear past all these people, which like wrapped all the way like halfway around.
Yeah, it's
the
basically
hallway.
a big step in the line, and then. And it was really nice, like when that first line was forming, like Ray would just charge through the crowd, and Caleb would like, we were sitting on the ground because obviously it was going to be still a long time before we were going to actually get in. I turned around and Caleb was just sitting in a circle with a couple other attendees, and like the RT staff is really good at. Just trying
Interacting
to be
with
as
their fans.
trying to be as interacting as possible. Like it seemed like they would stand out whenever they could. Like especially like Bernie, like he came out, and I even managed to get a picture with him and such.
Now, I'm a little worried that as RTX continues to grow, like each year the staff is gonna have a harder and harder time of maintaining that the actual face time with the fans, because the more people you have around you, the more dangerous the crowd potentially gets.
Yeah, you should have seen the literal circle mob around Gus.
Now, I did see Gus when I was standing in line for I don't remember which panel it was now. It was the second day. He actually came in and walked right past a bunch of people that were sitting in line and stood right next to me, and I was a little bit surprised because he wasn't really drawing any attention. So I just kind of look over and I say, "Oh, hey, Gus," and he kind of looks at me and nods. And then someone else like sitting in line hears me say it, and he looks up and he goes, "Oh, hey, Gus." He does the same thing I said, and he kind of nods at that guy. He looks around, and he winds up talking to one of the other Guardians that was in there with kind of showing everybody where they needed to go, and he just kind of walked off without any sort of mob around him. So I was a little bit surprised. One, that I knew he was going to be really distracted. Everyone knew he was like stressing out about everything beforehand, but the fact that I was expecting him to get more treatment, kind of like what you were talking about with Bernie, where he shows his face and people are like, "Oh my God, it's Gus!"
Bernie is he's so awesome with the fans and accommodating. Gus he has the power to strike fear in your heart, even though he's a skinny man. There was there was a tech issue where we needed these adapters, and we were going to send a Guardian out who was a runner, who ran errands all from and to and from the convention center, and we had this issue, and he went upstairs to the tech room to find out what was going on. Well, he walked out, and I said, "Gus, do you need my help?" He was like, "No, I got it." And he was walking down the hall, and these attendees come running up, like the young ones. They come running up, "Gus, Gus, Gus!" I'm not kidding. He puts his arms out like he's parting the Red Sea. He goes, "Not now!" And they just all fucking flew against the walls on command. It was so funny. I started laughing, and another Guardian that was like doing line management saw that. He was like, "Man, that was pretty awesome." I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty funny, man."
I'm not sure that would work with anybody but
head
Guardian.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, but I mean, and the other thing is, they got a lot of gifts, which they got a lot of booze. Let's put it like that. I mean, they put all their gifts into the Guardian headquarters, and we taped off this table that had sections like Jeff, Gus, Bernie, Gavin, and I'm not kidding. Gus had these giant bottles of Jack Daniels Goldschlager, and like, God, these attendees, how the hell do they get these into the hall? But they're just bringing these gifts over and
massive amounts of determination.
Oh yeah, But yeah, I mean, let me tell you this quick story because somebody on the Twitch feed asked about a weird story, and I was kind of going somewhere with the lost kids. The second day we had a quote unquote lost kid, was a little older. We ended up finding him. Later that day, we got another lost kid that actually a lot of us lost it to because, we have the walkie-talkies and it's this. We have a lost kid. Okay.
Whoa, that sounded really good.
What's the description? Well, the mom says that he's 18 years old and he's wearing jeans.
Oh,
I remember
gosh.
that. I do remember that announcement.
He's
gosh.
wearing jeans and he's 18. Yeah. Okay. We'll be on the lookout for him. I mean, really? 18 years old? Come on, he's not lost. He's doing his own thing, Mom.
Yeah.
Cut the cord, will you? Jeez.
No, also, doesn't that apply to like, I don't know, 20% of the people there?
Oh,
Well,
at
that was
least.
kind of the description. Well, the second kid that was missing was 14, around
And wears
6 foot.
jeans.
Well, here's the funny thing. The mom said he's 14. This was the one that we found pretty quick. 14. He's about 5'9" and pudgy. That's what the mom said. 5'9" and pudgy. And then when security found them, they were like, "We found the lost boy, and I don't know who gave you guys a description, but he's like 6 foot and 120 pounds." Really?
Wow.
Yeah. He wasn't fat at all. So
Well, how do you identify like what the kid is? Because I would think that I wouldn't be able to identify someone with a description like that.
well, they gave us pictures too, and the
Oh,
picture,
okay, that makes sense then.
the picture was kind of old. I mean, he looked kind of pudgy, but he could have had his growth spurt and shot up and got skinny pretty quick. This could have been like a 3-year-old picture, but the mom described him as 5'9" and chubby. I'm not kidding. That's what the mom described him as. And security said when we found him, he's about 6 foot, 6'1", and he's a beanpole. So there was no way we were going to find him with that description. But you had to be specific. Like the first kid that was lost, at least we had something to go on. He had red hair. I think it was red hair, and he had yellow tennis shoes. That was like the main thing. I mean, you just look for people with yellow tennis shoes, and that kind
Yeah.
of narrow.
Well,
your search,
redheaded people aren't that common anyway, so someone with red hair narrows it down quite a bit, and then red hair with yellow tennis shoes, that's like maybe 2 people in the entire convention.
Exactly. He looks like a ketchup bottle with yellow shoes.
It'd be like playing Where's Waldo?
But so let me ask this because I know Chaos has spent time there. Dark, well, how was your first Austin experience?
I really enjoyed Austin. It actually reminds me of a more grown-up version of Raleigh, where I live at here in North Carolina. Pretty good nightlife. Went to a few different clubs while we were there. I had my first experience of having someone buy me not just a drink, but I had like 9 drinks bought for me. Well,
So did you
we were
actually
there.
reach the point of drunk? Because I know you have the ultimate tolerance.
I did not get drunk. I got buzzed, a little happy, but not enough to like make me stagger down the sidewalk on my way back to the hotel.
Aw.
I'm a little sad that you guys didn't get a chance to meet Leslie. He passed away a couple years ago, like 2 years ago. Do you know who Leslie is?
I do
Chaos?
not. Please
No.
educate me.
This homeless guy that dresses in drag, and he would just wander down 6th Street in the Warehouse District. He was kind of an icon of weirdness in Austin. He was kind of like the symbol of being weird. You would always, I have tons of pictures taken with this guy, and he walks around in like a bikini and a G-string, and he's got this really long hair and this beard. He's old. Apparently, he used to be like a banker downtown Austin. He just fucking lost it one day and just said screw it all, and just went downstairs and lived on the streets and stuff. But he passed away, I think, a year ago. But he was kind of it used to be when you would go to Austin for the first time, you would have to get your picture taken with Leslie.
That reminds me kind of in the hometown that I grew up in. There's this guy. Everyone knew him as Slippery Bob. And he used to work. I think he used to work for Whirlpool, if I remember right. But something similar happened to him. He just kind of snapped one day and started pulling around a wagon downtown. He's still quite wealthy. He had a nice house, but he would haul around a wagon, and he smelled kind of funny, and he would pay women to give him their underwear that they were wearing at the time. He's like, how much for your underwear? So yeah, he was a little bit weird. I never actually talked to the guy, but I did see him in passing a few times, and everyone would point him out. They're like, oh God, here comes Slippery Bob. Look. Like, why do they call him Slippery? And no one could really tell you why exactly
that
that
just
he was
sounds like
called
something
Slippery.
you'd say, like Slippery Bob.
Yeah, like, why is it Slippery Bob? I'm like, does he like try and slip his fingers in places they shouldn't be? I'm like, well, what's the name? But no one knows. No one knows. Because he tries to take underwear from women.
So I'm gonna ask favorite part of RTX for you guys.
The favorite part would have to be like enjoying the podcast and just the like banter of Jack and Joel and how
man, that was
how
I was
the phone number
headquarters when that happened.
incident went down.
Oh man, go ahead and tell the story because you were in the podcast. Go ahead and tell it.
Yes, please do.
Basically,
Story
Joel
time.
and Jack were like fighting over. Like Jack made this big giant, and you probably saw it near the Achievement Hunter Lounge. This big giant tower of pimps.
Yes,
and
I did see
it
that.
was this thing that he had worked on for like months, and even his dad helped him. It was like this big project for him, and so he was really proud of it. Joel just wanted to sign it, but Jack wouldn't have any of that. That upset Jack greatly. And so at one point, like Joel was talking about this and like kind of bashing on Jack. So Jack actually came into the panel and they kind of had a stare down with Joel, and they were fighting, saying stuff. After Jack left, Joel went like this: "I just want to say something. 512." And then he just gave out the entire rest of his phone number. And so
Did you commit his phone number to memory?
Every single person, or nearly every single person that actually got it, either called him or texted him. And so he stormed back in, shouting, "My phone exploded. What did you do?"
So I remember I was in the Guardian HQ doing the security when I saw the tweet from Joel. It just said, "I think I've made a horrible mistake."
Really, no kidding.
Yeah, apparently Jack said he got over like 800. And let's not forget, folks, for those that didn't attend, the every single panel was streamed onto the Rooster Teeth YouTube channel live. So not only were there 2,500 people in attendance that got Jack's number, but apparently the X number of people watching the podcast got to catch his number as well. So it wasn't just a few thousand; it was way more than that.
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate form of revenge, broadcasting a phone number. 'Cause I know people, I've talked to people that have dialed the like 555 numbers that you sometimes see in commercials just to see if they do anything. So you can just stick any sort of phone number out on the internet and you're going to have people that call it just to see who's on the other end.
Oh yeah.
That's like the ultimate form of revenge, especially if you're even somewhat popular like the RT guys are. You throw that number out there, misery will ensue. He probably has had to change his number already.
Yeah, I heard something about either something about like a SIM card change, like he's no longer mad at Joel. Like I think it might have been an elaborate prank.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything to kind of kill the buzz, so to speak, but he claimed that he's had that number for a long time, and Caleb, I think, was in attendance in the back, and he was sitting with some Guardians, and Caleb pulled up the number and said, "Oh my God, he really did give him the number," but there was word going around a few hours later that it was all a big bit for RTX. I don't know. I never really asked about it because there were 250 Guardians. I really didn't want to be that guy like everyone else asking all these questions all the time, you know. If people were kicked out, I would say, "Oh, someone got kicked out. Anything? What happened?" If they didn't want to talk about it, I'm not going to walk up to other people. What'd you hear? What'd you hear? What happened? What happened when so-and-so got kicked out?
God,
you know.
the gossipers.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, someone got kicked out. You don't tell me right away. Okay, move on. No big deal. So it was like, okay, so was it legit or not? Well, there's a big backstory to. Don't care. I'm done.
Are you allowed to talk about the two Guardians that got kicked out?
No, because I don't really know the full. I know some of the details, but there were two Guardians that were, from my understanding, two Guardians that they had their badges taken away, and unfortunately, the information I do know, I don't want to talk about it. But
Basically, the situation happened. They got in Fusion's way, and he dealt with it.
Yeah,
he used his ban hammer.
Yeah, they pissed me off, and I had to drag one guy by the pierced ear.
No, he ate his rage donut, and then.
Oh yeah. Those donuts, man, those Gordos, man, they infuse you with such, Hulkian type power, man. I felt like switching. I thought I was about to sprout purple pants and turn green. I just filled with rage, and I said, "Get the fuck out of my convention hall." That's how I roll, guys.
I thought I saw someone that looked a lot like the Hulk go through. I had no idea that was you. I thought it was just a really talented cosplayer.
Yeah, speaking of, there were some pretty interesting cosplayers.
I got a couple pictures of Spartan and a ODST trooper.
It's interesting. Like the Spartan armors seem like one of the most. Well, obviously since it's Red versus Blue in Halo, but it's the most like well designed. I don't know, like because some cosplaying and other stuff like that, you can tell that. They definitely put effort into it, but it's not exactly as good as some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true, but it's still some of them look really, really nice.
Actually, one of the first. Go ahead, man. The visor.
So does that mean if you're saying it's very easy, and I know you have material, you're good at making stuff. Why don't you, if you ever get a chance to actually code RTX meta, you should actually build a suit yourself.
Yeah, speaking of meta, I have a few people in the Twitch chat are asking why you could make it this year. What happened? What's your story?
Yeah, spill the beans.
Come on, why couldn't you be as cool as us? What happened?
See, don't you guys feel bad now?
Well, I actually feel kind of bad because I know Wubwave was. Oh, well, you're a kind man.
He's such a good Samaritan.
I know.
You have to be careful with those Germans. They're angry.
I know. They're angry. At least you have a bunch of good beer to drink.
Is that where the rage donut came from? A German just happened to
It was a
make
German rage donut.
A German inventor. Yes, that's the story behind the rage donut. No, that was the quitting donut.
Hell yeah.
But speaking about rage, the one thing that made me really, really mad.
Oh boy, you can get mad?
At panels.
Here we go.
Is that you know how in some of the panels they're like, okay, now we're gonna get questions from the audience.
Oh yes.
They bring all these people, and that's really cool that you have a chance to talk with them and your question get lively answered, on the forum. So you could ask something like this question that everyone's been knowing, but for some reason, every single person in the two, in both the podcast panel and in the Achievement Hunter, not Achievement Hunter, Rooster Teeth podcast panel. What am I going? Animated Adventure. Thank you. every single one had to tell their life story, say
Yes.
how they met Achievement Hunter and Rooster Teeth, how they got here, how this, and then they might ask a question sometime down the line. It might come. they might get on with it, but
And they try to be just funny enough to where they can think that, ooh, I gotta hire this guy. And they would ask. A lot of them would ask for jobs, and
I had a similar experience to that, and two of the panels that I was in. I cannot remember what they're called. This is why I wish I had my little dossier in front of me. But they were about like dissecting video games in general, and for the question, when the questions came about, they said, okay, look, we're gonna take questions now. We have about 10-15 minutes. We don't want your life story. We don't want.
Oh, they actually said that?
Yeah, we said we don't want a big spiel about how you came about your question. Just ask your question, so we can get answers to everybody that wants to that's waiting in line. And even with specific instructions like that, people would still get up there and they would ramble on, and you could see the kind of like tilting their heads sideways as these people are rambling on about.
There was some creepy people in our panels too.
There was a dude that in one of them, this dude, he got up there and he starts talking about this book that he thinks that they should read. And one of the girls up there, she's like looking at the other two guys like, is he serious? Is he really making a book recommendation during the question section of this show?
Oh gosh,
Like,
I mean,
where do these people come from?
Yeah, what?
I don't know where these people come from. They cannot follow instruction. I don't know how they're going to even like survive to be 20-somethings when the time comes.
These are our future leaders of America.
I think the only acceptable thing that you could do for the questions, like some people, what they did is like, hey, I have a gift for you. They march up and give it to them. They sit down. That's okay. It might take a little bit longer, but at least that's kind of funny. And then they also, if anyone brought a gift to them during the podcast, then like Gus would reach out. And I think he gave them like the Razer controller or whatever, as a reward. And so that makes sense. But it's like so sorry for all the people. Like only 5 people yes, it wasn't that long of a line. But I can imagine me the guy right behind the guy that's like rambling on, and then you discover that because of that guy rambling on that's in front of you, you didn't get your turn, even though you got up there quite early.
Yeah, it's really it's unfair to everybody else to sit up there and just ramble on as if anyone really cares what you're saying. No one cares who you are. No one cares where you came from. No one cares how you found out about the site or your book recommendation.
That there is places for that. Like,
but
for example, if somehow you got a one-on-one chat, like, oh look, there's Gus at the diner. Let me, let's sit next to him.
But when you're in the question section where they're saying, okay, look, we have this big line of people. You look behind you. There's a big line of people that want to ask questions. It's called the question section, not the tell us your life story session. So I really hope that we have, if we can, talking about this, we can cram it down enough people's throats. Say, look, be courteous to the people that are standing behind you in line, and don't.
I have to agree with
if
Robot
everyone
Dark
had just
right
walked
on
up
this.
and said, hey, look, you know what, Gus, I have a question, or this is a question for everyone to answer. Go. Just start with your question, not.
I agree with Robot Dark.
Oh, am my voice breaking up again?
Yeah, a little. That's probably we have these forums on the site for Guardians, and we throw out our recommendations, and of course a lot of people are picking at nits, just little things like just so they can put their 2 cents in regardless. But there have been some really good points. I think the main thing is, if we're going to do autograph signings, they need to be in a larger area for the cast and crew, especially the Achievement Hunter guys, Gus, the big popular guys.
I so wanted to get Gavin's signature, but we just didn't want to wait in the line at the time. Next time, we're probably going to, depending on how they do it, if there's a chance to get like Gavin, Jack, and all their signature / picture of it. I've pretty much, if there's a chance to do that, then we're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna stay there just as if we were attending a panel. We're gonna be there early before the signing starts, and then try to get in line and be there.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
happened with Joel because, little funny story, Joel was supposed to sign
Oh
autographs
yeah, I
at 3
heard that he
o'clock.
wasn't there or something like
He
that.
wasn't there, and he didn't start his signing until like 4:20. I mean, he was an hour and 20 minutes late to his signing because he apparently was in an interview that kept going extra long. But the thing was is that the registration hall, which was Hall 5, is where on the last day on Sunday we did that major change where we moved all of the signatures from the middle of the exhibit hall to Hall 5, and we actually had, instead of 2 signing booths, we had 4. And what we would do is we would rotate between, we'd queue one up and then have the live one. So let's say, I'm just throwing it out there as an example, at 3 o'clock we had Jack, and at 4 o'clock we had Monty. Well, at 3 o'clock, people were queuing up at the Monty area for the signing, and then once Jack was done, we'd start Monty at 4, and then where Jack was sitting, whoever was coming on at 5, they would start queuing at 4. That worked so much better that last day. And even with this system, when we finally got to Barbara and Joel, they had to close off Hall 5 because that whole hall was filled with people that wanted Joel's autograph. I mean, it's just the lines for autographs were ridiculous, and I think someone put this in the Twitch chat. They brought this up about, aggressive parents, and for the most part, I'm going to be honest, everyone was very pleasant. The parents, for the most part, you could tell by day 3 that some of these parents were getting a little ornery about things and
Like, I'm
a
ready
little
to go.
agitated.
When's it over?
Exactly. But some of them were actually, and this was the cool part. Some of these parents they figured this out. I would tell some guardians, hey, if they ask you this stuff, tell them this and this and this. Pick one thing out major each day. Prepare at least 2 hours in advance. So you look at your schedule. You say, okay, I want Gavin's signature one day, or I want to attend a panel the other, and X, Y, Z. You prepare for that to eat up most of your convention time that day. You can do other stuff, but if it's a major thing like the Rooster Teeth podcast,
Oh
Ruby
yeah.
signature, you block out about 3 hours of your time for that thing and get there at least 2 to 2.5 hours early. And I told the parents this, a lot of con parents, because this was their first con, and there's only 10,000 people, so this is nothing the size of Comic-Con. But at the same time, they're still learning. This is their first go-around, and they want their kids to have a good time. Well, some of these parents were really cool. They figured it out. Hey, my son will go to this line, and I'll go in this line, and we'll get the signatures. Or I'll have my son go here. I'll wait in line for the panel, and they were figuring it out. It was kind of cool to see those parents, and then the other parents that were just, well, we paid $50. We should get their signature. I'm like, well, you know what? So did 10,000 other people, man. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you the truth, but you're not the only one. And welcome to the con experience.
Absolutely love crushing those types of people's spirits. The ones that feel like they're entitled to everything.
Yes.
Oh, I did that.
Yeah.
I love doing that in retail too, when I could get away with it. Like, you get people that walk in and they think, "Oh, I'm here. I'm here to be served. I've paid money." And you're like, oh, no, you're no better off than any of the other 10,000 people here. Go wait your turn and shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Some of these parents were like, well, we paid $150 for these badges. And I'm like, okay, well, do you not understand? The Rooster Teeth channel on YouTube has almost 5 million subscribers. They are very They have a very strong internet presence. A lot of their fans are young internet gaming types. So you're here with a lot of the same people that your son or daughter is here with. They're kindred spirits, so to speak. They all have this in common. They're all gonna want Bernie's autograph. They're all gonna want Gavin's autograph. You're not the only one. If you have to wait 4 hours, we have to cap. And that was the hardest part, is capping these lines off. We'd get an hour's worth of people. Okay, we got to cap it. But that last person you always feel bad for. That one where you cap it, and then the next person that comes up and says, but. There was a girl where on Saturday in the morning, Bernie was signing with Kathleen, and This girl, and she wasn't even a kid. She was like in her late 20s. She had a fucking meltdown because we had to cap off the line because Bernie's line was wrapped around, and this was when the signings for the Rooster Teeth guys were in the middle of the hall floor. His line was wrapped around itself like 3 times, and it was causing congestion in the middle of the hall to where people couldn't move in and out. So we were like, we have to cap this. We're done, you know. So the guy that the line guardian had to cap it, and the girl that came next, she had a fucking meltdown. She just started crying because she thought it was going to be her life experience to meet Bernie, and I feel really bad because her boyfriend was right there next to her. That didn't, you know, I'm like, that must feel like
so
shit.
Pathetic.
Well, what would you guys do if there was like literally like you cut it off in the middle of a group of like 2 or 3 people?
Well, I mean, it would be pretty much up to where we're at. If we were so congested, let's say there's an hour line of people and we're 15 minutes into the signing, there's more than likely a shot they're not going to get in, you know. But, you know, like I said, Bernie, these guys, meeting them all, I love them. They're great people, man. All of them are so wonderful, and how they're handling this, you know, this new age type of celebrity status. They're all handling it so well, and RTX is so overwhelming. But when something like that, back to your question, when that would happen, you kind of had to play it by ear. If they were like, okay, we're done, we would have to tell the whole group, all right, you're out of here. Sorry, you're not going to be able to get in anyway. But usually we would kind of just let the whole group go for the most part. But like I said, it really that was probably the hardest part, is where you had to tell people, sorry, the line ends with you. You're not getting in. You know, it's like the one in front of you, that's where the line ends. You're not getting in. Sorry. That was probably the hardest part of it, because I didn't work lines all the time, but I was out there doing security with them, helping, walking around, making sure everything was okay. And to see them getting cut off, it was just, oh man, that face. That look, every single person when that happened to them had the same look on their face, like, oh man,
You're
that
reminding me
crushed
of the
look.
animated thing of the Kara, like the walk of shame through the parking lot.
Exactly.
The walk of shame.
So I mean, I felt bad for him, but at the same time, it just that was you had to stick to your guns, you know. Can you please do something for me? I'm sorry, you know. When at 6 o'clock on Sunday, I went, you know, I was walking Bernie down to from the escalator down to the exhibit hallway, and I was like, you know, there were like 4 of us at that point. I said, do you need us here? He's like, no, it's okay. I only need a couple of you guys. Well, you know, kids were sitting out in the hallway, and they started bum rushing Bernie to get autographs because it's closed. They didn't think they were going to see him. So I go inside, and there was an issue with Barbara and an attendee that kind of wanted to talk with her. So I was trying to get her straightened out if she either wanted to leave or she wanted to talk to the guy, whatever. Well, not even 2 minutes later, I get my walkie. Anybody with a walkie, please come out there. Bernie's just, you know, being mobbed.
He's being mobbed.
I'm not kidding. No, Dark, they were pushing him against the escalator. Like, they were forcing him against the escalator. And so we had to form a circle around him of security and he signed every single autograph of those people. But I had to cut people off. At some point, you know, the team lead was like, okay, this is it. So I gave the mean voice, and I'm like, okay, guys, we're capping off. This is it. Bernie's got to leave here shortly. He can't be here. So, of course, the kids that were cut off were just like, oh, like, this was your dream, was to meet Bernie Burns, and you had to tell them, you know, sorry, buddy, you're not going to be able to meet him this year, sorry. And
that's something I've never understood. Maybe you guys can help me understand. Like, I've never had the desire to get an autograph from anybody. I don't see the value in it.
Well, I don't see. I mean, an autograph is one thing, but for me, now that just me and Rachel now discovered, is that taking photos, and especially if you take a self photo when you flip your camera to the other side and take one of yourself, that sort of picture seems to be a lot more special because it's you standing next to someone that you really admire.
Yeah.
Like a signature, that's really, really cool, and it's something that I'd be like, oh, awesome, thank you. It seems to me that getting a small little quick picture taken is a little bit better, because you can just kind of stand behind them. Here, look at the camera, 3, 2, 1, go, and then gone.
Yeah. You're right. When you have someone else taking the picture, it feels kind of just manufactured. It didn't seem very generic. And I can tell you, if you go to the Rooster Teeth site, they're posting everybody's submitted. Well, not everyone's, but they're posting the submissions for RTX, and you can tell which ones are selfies because there's just a genuine feel of the picture when it's them and when it's an attendee and one of the cast and crew versus the people that someone else is taking the picture for them. You kind of give them you give the opportunity to both people to get nervous. You know, the attendee is kind of, you know, you have hover hands that develop. When it's a selfie, they're usually really close together anyway. Like, you look at all the selfies and Bernie's really close, Gus is close.
Yeah,
Barbara,
sometimes they make funny faces in them sometimes.
Yeah. When you have someone else take the photo, it kind of gives them a chance to kind of get in their shell. And you know, I think my wife put it to me like this, because I noticed, I was like, you know, I made the joke. I was like, is there something wrong with my face? Do I need to get plastic surgery? Because when I was talking to people, very few people were looking me directly in the eyes. And she's like, no, you have to remember, they're you know, a lot of these people aren't very sociable, babe. She's like, a lot of them aren't sociable, so you know, this is their opportunity to get out of their shell. But these are gaming geeks, remember that. So I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even really, you know, it kind of slipped my mind because I was doing this event and I'm a fan of their product. You know, I'm a fan of the Rooster Teeth guys, but it kind of slipped my mind. It's like a lot of these people are, you know, are video game people that really don't socialize. So I was like, okay,
I had a similar experience to that. Like, aside from meeting Chaos and the other people that I know from the Forum Thread podcast and you know, other similar threads that I frequent, the only people that were willing to actually like start up a conversation with me while sitting in line, as far as complete strangers go, were the bronies. When I was in line for that. Like, everybody else would just kind of sit there on their phone. I saw one guy had actually brought his own video game console and was playing video games by himself in line. And everyone just kind of kept to themselves. But those bronies, damn, they're sociable. I couldn't. I was trying to sit there and read, and Ken and I were having some sort of conversation about, I don't even remember what it was about. It was slightly abstract. And then so first the guy on my left, he starts kind of like getting into the conversation, and then the guy sitting on my right starts talking to the guy on my left, and so suddenly there's this conversation going on that I'm somehow a part of with like 6 people, and I only know Ken. Like, this is interesting. I wonder why this didn't happen in any of the other lines.
I didn't want to. I'm not saying it was 10,000 introverts, but there were a lot. You know, it's a lot of people.
There was only 9,000 introverts.
Over 9,000.
9,001 introverts.
There you go, 9,001 introverts. But you know, so it was a good experience. I worked a lot. 6 a.m. I'd get there, and I wouldn't leave till late at night. I know, like, one night you guys wanted to go grab. Oh, by the way, how was Piranha Sushi? By the way.
Oh, it was a really good try for sushi. I didn't quite expect it to taste like that, but I really like it, especially the dragon roll.
I went to another place for dinner, a sushi place with my best friend met up with me for a little bit before I had to get some sleep because I had to be up early again. But I was a bit disappointed. It was another place in downtown. I don't even remember the name. It was over by Cantina Laredo, and it wasn't bad, but it just wasn't really good. And a few Guardians that stayed in, I think it's the Marriott or the Hilton right across the street from Piranha, said that they really liked Piranha. So I kind of regret not going there.
Yeah, you should have come. It was amazing, and the service that we got at Piranha was very impressive too. Ken and I, we tend to base our favorite places to eat a lot on the servers. So there's a pub right around the corner from where we live that we go usually once a week, and we actually have a waitress there that has claimed us as her own. If any other waitress tries to wait on us, she like runs up and says, "No, these two are mine."
You've actually had a couple fights break out because the other
Close to it. You know how chicks can get sometimes over their gay people.
Yeah.
But so at the Piranha place, Ken was wanting to try, or wanted me to try some different types of sashimi. So he was asking the waitress, like, okay, what types of fish do you have back there? And he was like, whispering in her ear, and she was very professional, very nice, and she was taking notes and everything. She's like, I don't know this off the top of my head, but I will go back into the kitchen and I will see if we have any of this fish. I will be right back. And like we were really impressed with the quality of service, and we were kind of glancing around at the other tables, and it looked like everybody, all the other staff that they had there was very attentive. They were constantly, shuffling back and forth through all the tables. I was really impressed. We ate at a lot of different restaurants, and that one by far had the best service. So food was great.
Where else did you go to? I'm just curious.
I don't even remember all the places. I tried to tag as many places as I could on my Facebook page. Mm-hmm. Because I have a sensitivity to food additives, so it was like a full-time job trying to find places to eat. So when we went to Houston, there was this place called Green that it was vegan, vegetarian friendly, but they did serve cheeses and stuff there. But they had this thing that they called a protein salad, which had chopped tofu in it, but aside from that, it had kale and all these other greens and like this goat cheese type. It's not really dressing. It was too thick to be dressing, but this salad comes out and it's like the size of a dinner plate and about as deep as a dinner plate. It's huge, and it was only like $11 for this thing. I'm looking at them. I don't know if I'm going to be able to eat all of this, and it was amazing. Everything that they made there was made in-house. They're very open about all the recipes. They try to be very natural, as organic as they can. Mm-hmm. And so we ate at a lot of places like that. Some of them really sucked. Like the restaurant that Ken and I took you and Rachel to, Chaos. Mm-hmm. What was it called?
Do you not remember?
I don't remember what that place was called. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, that was one of those places we were not impressed with. It had pretty good reviews, but the food.
Oh wait, you're talking about the vegan place.
Yeah, that one.
Mr. Natural?
No. We tried going to Mr. Natural, but it was closed for renovations.
Okay.
This Beats. Okay. This one was called Beats, I think.
Okay. Beats Living.
Yeah, Beats Living. It was something like that.
Yeah. Rachel's in the Twitch chat and she's throwing it out there. She said it's Beats Living.
Yes, that place. So they had the food was really expensive for how small the portions were. Like I was expecting normal sized portions, but these were like really small. And it was impressive that the woman that kind of runs the place, she was on the phones, she was at the cash register, she was also taking orders and also going back in the kitchen and serving the food to everybody. So that was impressive that she was doing that, but because she was doing so much, she was also not attentive at all to the needs of the people that are actually sitting there and eating. It was like, great, so we've got small portions to these really expensive foods. Our glasses are empty.
The oatmeal was all right. It was interesting.
Yeah. Like we'd like our check, but she hasn't come back around. I think we had to like kind of wave our hand at her to get her attention. So
that sucks.
Yeah, so we had a couple of bad experiences. So those are the two extremes. Like that was, I think, our worst restaurant experience, and then the sushi place was probably our best as far as the Piranha Sushi, the best as far as service and food quality, and the atmosphere I thought was amazing. I'm a sucker for a restaurant with good atmosphere, and they had.
And you said you went to a couple bars too, right?
Yes. Again, this is the folly of being a traveler, and I don't have my little dossier with me to tell me to all the places that I went. The first place was a gay-friendly bar in Austin, but it was not necessarily a gay bar. And it was the closest to our hotel. So I walked there. It was about a 15-minute walk. And I walk in, I'm like, okay, I see a good mixed crowd here. And they had some sort of live performance. It was a little bit weird, but I'm like, okay, it's just the guy. He's just a little bit weird. So I got a beer and I sit there and he finishes his thing. And then the next thing that they start doing in the live performance is a guy sits down on the floor with a guitar, a microphone pointed at the guitar on the floor, and he starts breaking glass over it. And
Welcome to Austin.
I'm thinking to myself, the fuck is this? And I'm thinking, okay, this has to be like an intro to something that he's going to do. But no, I sat there for a full 3 minutes as I finished off my beer, listening to him breaking glass over the guitar, and I couldn't take it anymore. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm out of here. And I left. It was sad. It was really weird. So it kind of crushed my hopes and my dreams for nightlife in Austin until I went to the next place.
You're just like slowly walking, your hands hanging, head down to the next pub. I guess I'll try this one now.
I walk a lot, so I'm actually a pretty fast walker, even when I'm disappointed. So I walked
That's
about.
true. You and Ken were like leaving the entire group behind. You're like already zooming off.
You gotta get. We walked everywhere. Absolutely everywhere.
I usually am that sort of fast walker, but the only difference was I had a little bit of a load, so I was a little bit tied down, and we didn't even get to use one of the main purposes that I had brought in, like I brought all the recording equipment for the podcast.
I know. Again, let's look at Fusion and point our finger.
I know. Everybody pointed me. It's my fault.
Like the reason we didn't have a weekend is because of Mr.
The reason
Fusion.
we didn't have a boo.
That was my doing. I didn't want him to say anything on there. You know, it's a big fuck you. But actually, I'm remedying that situation for next year. I'm already buying equipment, so there will be mixers and mics. We can do this at a hotel or at a restaurant next year. So
we can also like that plan that you had said for what we can do. That can be an excellent place to do it at.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
the
what do you mean?
sushi.
Well, it's got a lot of ambient noise. I think a hotel room would do better.
No, not the Piranha Sushi. The thing that we were renting.
The little micro studio?
No, the place where we all share and stay at.
Oh, that? Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna go. We'll have to discuss that. So.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm a married man, and I may have to pay for my own place so my wife can stay there if I work again next year. Because I left her here for about 6 days, and it was pretty brutal. She's used to have me around, so it was kind of hard on her not being around.
She didn't have her honeydew.
Exactly. She broke every single piece of technology in this house in like 2 days. When I came back, I fixed it all in like 10 minutes. You know.
This is where I'm glad that both Ken and I are very tech savvy. If I don't know how to fix something, he knows how to fix something, or vice versa.
Like,
a bunch of the guys on Rooster Teeth are telling me to say random stuff to jump back into the conversation.
Go for it.
You may be the odd man out, but you're not the underdog. Everyone's rooting for you. A big shout out to Meta Legacy, everybody. He's here and he's saying random stuff.
I am here. I don't know why.
Meta's house.
Everyone loves you, Meta. Take a bow.
So, actually, Meta, would you ever...
I don't bow.
Like I was saying before, would you actually ever consider making Meta armor? Because I've seen plenty of Spartans, but I've never seen anyone try to do... I mean, they might have, but I've never seen anyone try to do the Meta's helmet. And I think that would... Yes, that's a very hard thing to do.
I admit...
But I know it's possible.
He's trying to talk chaos.
What? I admit I have made a Meta helmet.
You have?
An actual one with metal and glass.
Okay, we need photos or it didn't happen.
Yeah, I agree.
You're following the rules of the internet.
Well then, why don't you make the rest of the suit and then come as the Meta in next RTX?
Yeah, I'll be your handler.
And since you do weapons, then you can make a blade brute shot. Maybe not one that doesn't actually fire.
How would I get that? How would I get that into the convention center?
In a suitcase.
A brute shot.
No, what we want you to do is we want you to wear that on the plane.
There is no suitcase big enough to fit a brute
actually,
shot.
I have the answer because I went to the panel where they talk about making armor. What the chick that makes this armor, I don't remember. I hate this. I don't remember what company she works for. I don't remember a lot of shit, people. She FedEx, is it FedEx, or she uses the postal system where she'll make sure her armor can be broken up into pieces, and then fits them into the if it fits, it ships type thing with lots of padding, and then sends it to where it needs to be, and then it's waiting for her when she gets there. Yes, there's creative ways to do it, and it's a lot easier that way than trying to, if you have to drive there, sticking it in your back seat or something.
You could probably just, like, for example, like, since I'm already here, you could ship it to either me or Fusion and be like, here's my stuff.
Why you gotta put me in this?
Hey, because I'm saying
because
in Texas, because you're in
this
Texas.
is how you can make up for ruining our podcast.
Ah,
while we
yes,
were-
again, I dropped the fucking ball.
Yep,
All right,
we're gonna
I
have
get
to.
it.
We're gonna hold this over your head until we feel like your dues have been paid in
Yeah, I
full.
know.
Speaking of podcast, I think it's about time for us to end it.
Oh,
Is it?
we're at minute
just
10.
yeah.
It's been about an hour.
It's okay.
Yeah.
This is a special podcast.
This
We're
special
making up
podcast,
for-
silly meta. Tricks are for kids.
Are they? Are they really?
That actually annoyed me. That commercial.
Every time I see that commercial, even in passing, I'm just like, give the stupid rabbit some tricks. He'll leave you alone if you give him some tricks.
That's what I'm saying, man. Just give him tricks. He'll stop bugging
I swear to God, he's like an addictee that can't get over it.
So, earlier I said what was my most annoying part was just the people ranting on the questions thing. Dark, was there anything that particularly annoyed you about RTX?
It takes a lot to annoy me, so no, not really.
Okay,
That-
that made
that
you
did-
mildly discomforted then.
Well, that did kind of annoy me, but I expected it because I know that as a rule of thumb, the introverted geeky types don't tend to listen and they like to ramble on. I know plenty of them in real life, so I just kind of knew what to expect. So I was mentally prepared for that already, so it didn't really bother me. I guess, okay, for me, I actually do suffer a bit from social anxiety. So the first day that we got there and literally being met with a wall of people and not having any elbow room as we're kind of walking through and checking out what they've got downstairs before we figured out where the panels and stuff were, I did feel not just a little bit. I felt a lot overwhelmed. Just like, wow, there's so many people here and not a lot of places to move.
You're kind of like me, Dark. I don't like big crowds. I'm
Yeah.
the kind of guy that sits in the corners where I can see everything.
It's like, but I always try and fight that feeling, and so it took a real time for me to get over that. I just kind of walked around with Ken looking at stuff like, okay, waiting for the feeling to go away, waiting for the feeling to go away. It's like, it's okay, and it took like half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, and finally I started to kind of calm down. I focused on figuring out where everything was at. And I kind of made that my goal, so I could kind of just ignore the amount of people that were around me, and I just started asking the Guardians, okay, I'm trying to identify where this room's at, where this room's at, where this room's at. Is it upstairs, downstairs? I need to get a feel for the layout of this place, and once I know the territory I'm in, then I'll be able to chill out and actually be by myself. So, first day was majorly stressful. The second and third day, I actually had a really good time. And by the time that it ended, I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to do this again. I will be coming back next year if I can.
And I will too.
I don't want to.
Are you going to try to sign up for the guardianship again?
I will try to. I will try to go. I don't know.
Are you
And we
gonna,
already
think
know
a lot
Wes
of
isn't
people
going to be
are-
able to go.
are you going to try to be a guardian again, Fusion?
Yeah, I loved it. And more than if I go, I'm going to be a guardian
What's
again.
the-
like I
what's
usually
the-
do
If you
right
go
afterwards.
as
What's
a
the
guardian,
selection
you will not be able
process?
to be in the podcast.
No, we can work. We can make it work. What I'll just do is make sure that basically we work until 6 o'clock, and there are things going on each night. And I made the mistake of volunteering to be available every night, and so they made me do things every night. Like the night of the 4th, and I mentioned this before the podcast, and I'll bring this up to everyone. The night of July 4th, that was the day before the actual event, and that was pre-registration day. Well, most people signed up for, a lot of people, and this is really cool, by the way. Grady did a great job. Rooster Teeth Side Quest did an awesome job, and they had a cocktail dinner on the night of the 4th at the Radisson, and the proceeds went to both Child's Play and the Make-A-Wish, and I think they raised somewhere combined for both about $15,000 over the weekend, which was amazing. And but anyway, I had bought a side quest all access VIP badge, which I spent $100 on, and
Oh, goodness.
I used it one time, which was for the lunch on Monday at the Salt Lick. But it was funny because I stayed at the Radisson and I ran into several people on my way out, and they're like, "Where are you going?" And it was a casual, a dressy casual event, and everyone was coming up in suits, dress shirts, slacks. I'm walking out in a dress shirt and jeans, and I'm meeting people on my way out. They're like, "Where are you going? You're not dressed for this. Where are you going?" And I couldn't tell them, but I was picked to help run a VIP party at the W Hotel, which was for cast, crew, and special guest of the actual convention. We weren't supposed to tell anybody because they didn't want anybody. Yeah, that was before the podcast. Now people that are listening now they know.
Dun,
Calm
dun,
down,
dun.
Meta.
The secret
I know
is
you're
out.
pissed because you didn't get to go to this party and to RTX, but I'm sure some of these podcast listeners would love to hear this story. Anyway,
I'm kind of
I'm one of them.
just wondering why I'm here.
Because we like your
da.
pretty little face over there.
yeah, that's why.
You just sit there and look pretty.
So Meta, do you ever wonder why we're here?
Yes, I do.
So anyway, that's where I was that night, and then I worked the Geeks Who Drink and a few other things after hours. So that's why I was busy this week. But I will make a note that next year I will make sure one of these evenings that we're there, I will not be working, so we can do a podcast.
I was a little bit sad that I missed the Geeks Who Drink. I was not expecting it to be that big of a thing, I guess.
Oh man, let me tell you, they had the floor set up for 300 people. Well, there were about 500 people that showed up.
Yeah, when we
goodness.
got there, we got turned away, and they're like, "No, it's actually beyond capacity. People are waiting outside to go in." I'm like, "Oh, well
So
then."
I could have seen you again for the second time because I was at that door right inside. So the guys outside of the door next to me turned you away.
Yep.
No, we weren't
You
at
may
the
have
door.
actually heard my
It
voice
was in
then.
the middle of the hallway.
Oh, okay.
Oh, was it? I don't remember. I remember going in there and being turned away and then feeling disappointed. But I did make the social mixer thing, and watching that
And oh yeah,
that train breakout.
Oh yeah,
was
the massive conga line.
The conga line, yeah, the conga line. That was hilarious. And then like the conga line made a beeline right for our table, like between you and
Oh yeah,
and,
me and
Rachel.
Rachel.
So you had to like jump out of the way from the other side as this conga line like plows through. And what was super awesome about that is I got to meet Sailor Girl. As you know, the
art.
avatar that I use on Rooster Teeth is a picture that she had painted of me with the dragon skull sitting on my head. And she called my name on the speaker along with a bunch of other people that she had painted pictures of and knew that they were going to be there. And so I actually got a picture with her with my avatar picture in the real life. It's sitting here on my table in front of the TV right now. This weekend I'm hoping to get a nice frame for it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Have you framed it yet?
No, I've got to find the right frame. It's gotta be a nice frame because it's a really nice picture. I think it looks better in real life than it does in the digital picture, just because you can see the metallics in the paint reflecting when you're looking at it. So a shout out to Sailor Girl.
I enjoyed the mixer overall because
yeah, it was very interesting.
When me and Rachel were sitting at the table, I think you guys weren't there. Like this random game developer couple walked up to the table and kind of stood with us, and we actually chatted for a nice amount of time. They gave us these little I don't remember buttons.
No, yeah, Ken and I, we both got those buttons too.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So you were at the table.
We were there.
And then...
I'm a little offended that you forgot we were standing at the table with you.
No, because I remember Zach wasn't there. I don't think you were there the entire time.
No, I was up getting my painting, but when I got back,
you
they were
came
there.
back halfway through. That's why.
Yeah, but I still got a button.
All right.
I have it. If I could find where I put the shit from RTX, I would hold it up in front of myself to prove to myself that I genuinely have the button. You guys can't see it, so it wouldn't do you any good. But that's what I would do.
If only we could do the like the TGS, just a four screen sort of situation. That'd be epic. We all see video webcams.
I actually get up and walk around in my living room a lot when we're doing these things. So I'd be pacing in and out of the camera frame.
They're like, "Where'd the hell he go? He left again."
What? Wait, he's coming back. He doesn't have any
no, he's
pants
gone.
on.
No, I would remember to have pants on.
It's Ken that be walking in the background without pants. That's
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like,
Ken walks
shield
out.
your eyes, children. There's a naked Asian in the background. It was so funny. There was like 3 or 4 times that we were there where people made comments about Ken looking like an Asian Gus.
really.
Yes, really.
Oh god. Oh.
The sad thing is, like, after someone said that, I'm looking at the pictures of Gus, and I'm looking at Ken, and as long as Gus doesn't smile and Ken isn't smiling, like, I can see it. Like, their smiles are completely different, but they have a similar shaped face, and they got the darker hair.
They got the kind of same glasses.
Yeah, and they've got the
appearance.
glasses. I think Ken definitely, like, totally beats the shit out of Gus when it comes to just overall
Ken
looks
totally
go,
looks like Gus.
But yeah, it's still kind of funny that he had so many people that would see the picture of Gus and then see him like, yeah, you look like an Asian version of Gus.
Gus,
reincarnated.
Gus.
I don't know whether or not if Ken was flattered or if he was offended.
Yeah.
I thought you said that he didn't really like Gus. So
Yeah, well, he doesn't know like Gus or any of his characters or anything. He's personally my favorite of the staff because he voices Simmons, and Simmons is my favorite character, and I kind of like his attitude, the I don't give a fuck type attitude. So I suppose he would be my favorite. So in my opinion, like, I think I would consider it a compliment, but just based off of, like, I guess
Did you ever watch the Rooster Teeth shorts?
I've seen a few of them.
Okay, because Gus he just fucking kills it in those things, man.
I saw
He's
the one
hilarious.
where he's got I think he's got a cape on and he's training
The
people.
Atari Kid, yes.
Yes,
That's a good
yes, that was actually really funny. That was the first time Ken actually got to see him, like, see Gus acting, and he was actually pretty impressed. I think his opinion started to change slightly after he saw that video. I'm like, you see, so people are saying you look like someone who's actually really funny and is really popular.
There
so you
is
should
one,
you should be
I think
proud.
I think there's one in season 2 you got to watch where Joel is needing to talk to him, and he opens up an Apple chat, a video chat, and Gus is right behind him, but Gus puts a roller coaster wallpaper behind, and the video just gets weirder and weirder every time. Like, it goes from Gus with a wallpaper in the background of a roller coaster in the video, and then Joel turns around and sees Gus looking at him, and Gus is like, "What?" And Joel turns back around to the computer, and he's asking for tech help, and then all of a sudden Gus is on a roller coaster at Disney World, and Joel's like, "Are you in a roller coaster?" And he turns back around, and Gus is just sitting there like, "What the fuck are you looking at?" You really got to watch that one. That one's hilarious.
Oh god.
In one of the panels that we were at, we actually got treated to a one of their shorts that has yet to be released yet. They
boy.
showed us a in progress version of it.
Stop taunting me.
And
What did you expect was going to happen? You're on a podcast about RTX.
yeah, they didn't even have a time frame for when it was going to be released. They said it was going to be lined up to be released eventually soon-ish, but they didn't
Well,
know when.
they were going to stop doing the shorts for a while, but there was such a demand from the Rooster Teeth community to bring those back. So I think after the 4th season, they said 3rd or 4th, the last one, they said they were going to put those, they were going to retire that, and people were just demanding them to do more shorts, so then they started back up again this year.
Well, it was a big gamble for them because they're a company that's renowned for their machinima, and then to actually do live action stuff on the same website,
like the Gauntlet.
Yeah, it's kind of was a big leap of faith for them. It's something that has actually like expanded their what's the word I'm looking for?
Their footprint.
Their footprint and the amount of people that are drawn to it. So
especially
not everybody...
I bet some people are now with only Ruby.
Yeah, so not everybody gets the machinima thing. A lot of people do, but not everyone gets it. So then you have the live action shorts, which are, from the few that I've seen, are really funny and really well done. So you have a group of people that are there for that. And then now with the Ruby, where you actually have authentic CGI animation and not machinima. So that's its own thing in and of itself.
Well, and don't forget, a large chunk, millions of people have come in that know nothing about Red versus Blue, but they follow Achievement Hunter.
This is true too.
I mean,
Yeah,
when we were
Achievement
there,
Hunter.
we would talk to people, and they're, oh yeah, I just started watching Red versus Blue, but I followed Achievement Hunter. That's where that's where I got started. You know, a lot of these people. I mean, it was just amazing to see the dichotomy of the fans. You would think, you know, because I've followed these guys since day one because I was living in Austin when they started this whole thing up, and to see them grow like this, it's like I told Bernie when we got to talk to them after the convention, I was like, you know, man, because you know they were doing autographs and all that. I'm like, look, I don't want your autograph because most of you know that I worked in radio for a long time, and I got to meet a lot of professional athletes where I'm a huge sports guy, and it just became towards like I'm a fan, but I just didn't want to take autographs from these people because you just start to see their human side. So it's just like, okay, they're just another person like you and me. So I don't ask for autographs. And I walked up to Bernie and he was like, "You want autographs?" I was like, "No, I just want to tell you, man. I was working here in radio when you guys started up." He's like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, actually." And I don't know if you guys know this, but I worked with Jack for a short time at CBS Radio. We kind of crossed paths shortly. Like he had come in when I was leaving CBS, so we really didn't get to to meet or anything. And so, but I worked with his roommate Goofy Ron, who's a DJ at CBS. Goofy Ron. I worked with him for a while, and so we kind of crossed. He was coming in when I was going out at CBS. But anyway, I told Bernie all this stuff, and we were, oh yeah, it's awesome. And I was like, look, I've followed you guys from day one, and I respect the hell out of what you do because you do it on your own terms. You don't spend a lot of money. Like you don't pull in all these investors, you don't pull in all these loans, and you're not leveraged like that. You guys have this footprint on the internet now, and you can do whatever you want because you have millions of people watching, and you can take those chances like 1-800-MAGIC, the Strangerhood, all that stuff. It may not have been as big as Red versus Blue, but it let them expand to where they start doing these other things like the shorts, the lives, the animated adventures, Ruby, and it's respectful to see that they have fans from not just one thing like Red versus Blue. Achievement Hunter has millions of fans, and most of those people they don't know anything about Red versus Blue, which is funny. You know, we were talking to some of these kids, and they're like, "I never watched Red versus Blue." Well, how do you know about Rooster Teeth? Achievement Hunter. It kind of blew my mind just talking to some of these attendees to hear them say they never watched Red versus Blue. I'm like, how have you never seen it?
Why are they there?
Exactly. Yeah, especially since I can relate to you for that because I can relate with you on that point because that's how I found out about it. Like, back in the third season, like they were the only thing that existed. Achievement Hunter is relatively new, as far as their history goes. So it's a little bit kind of staggering, really, when you look at the scope of their expansion. It's actually really amazing. They have literally struck like internet gold, and I think it's really inspiring for a lot of other people as well. Like when you see that you don't need to bankrupt yourself to start something special. Yeah. All you need is a really good idea, some emotional and a little bit of money support, and just the willpower to get shit done, and you can get shit done.
Well, and you know this, Dark.
And other people besides yourself.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying, Meta?
I was saying, and other people besides yourself.
Yeah. And Dark's been on the site for a long time too, and they've always have been very close to their community. I mean, in those those documentaries about them, they hire from within. Barbara was a community member, and then she got hired, and several others, and they've just embraced their community so much that's where I think that's where the strength of their product lies, and that these people are gonna maybe sometimes follow them a little more blindly than any other things that they are fans of, but at the same time, their community they're just like them, to where they're critical about the stuff they do, and that's where they can improve on their product. Is they take their community and they embrace them, and if the community doesn't like something, they're going to be critical about it, to where they can say, okay, we got to fix this. I know, like the 1-800-MAGIC thing, I thought it was funny, the short series.
It was weird, but it was funny.
The Fear one was a bit disappointing, and I think those were steps in them
that was
to where they are
Panics,
now.
wasn't it?
Yeah, Panics.
People like normal and crazy ass situations.
Yeah, they've learned to they've learned to improve on their other materials
Yeah.
outside of Red versus Blue, and in turn, we're able to improve on Red versus Blue too, which is great because at some point that you can only go to that well of it being a simple machinima with simple voiceover work with really good dialogue so long till people get bored, but they've been able to evolve, like bringing in Monty, adding their own animation to the series, and it helps them, it encapsulates what their product is, and at the same time it expands it, which is why, like I told Bert, I really respect what they've done. All of them, they've been able to do this, and it sucks because like you guys were complaining about these panels where a lot of these stupid ass questions,
Yes.
and it's you're gonna get these kids that say, well, when can I come work for you? When can I come work for you? How do I do it to start my own? It's like, you can't, you have to, if you want to do this, you're going to have an original spin on it, kids. That's just,
Yeah.
you're going to have to do that. So you're going to have to spend some time thinking about how you want to do it, but you can't copy their product because people aren't going to, you're going to have to be different. That's the way it works. These guys were different 10 years ago.
It's like the same thing that they try and do with the gaming industry, where Call of Duty was a really big thing. Halo was a really big thing, so everyone copied Halo. Then Call of Duty was the more realistic shooting.
Robot mode activated.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I see my audio is off.
I think Dark is his battery's getting low.
It is. It's
Might
beeping
need a
at me.
recharge.
But you get the same thing where you have people that see, oh, Halo's really popular, let's clone Halo and everyone's gonna love it, or Call of Duty's really popular, let's clone Call of Duty and everyone will love it. And then when their sales, when the game bombs and the sales, don't do near as good as what they're expecting, like, I don't understand why we're wrong. We did everything they did. Like,
There's your problem.
That's the problem. You need to be original. You can't just copy paste what someone else has done and expect people to love it, because people love what they love for what it is, and just imitating it, you're that person that wears the the cheap suit and tie that looks like you've slept in it to a nice cocktail party, and everyone's gonna know, oh wow, that guy just does not have his shit together.
You're right. But it was a great experience. I enjoyed working it, and I have every intention of doing it again next year. And I mean, there's not much more I can say other than, for those that didn't attend, I know you're bummed about it, but hey, this one's over. You can start preparing for 2014. I recommend you do so now. It's more than likely going to be around the same time, the first weekend of July. I mean, yeah, of July. So if you want to start saving up, I recommend that. My pointers to you, and I think I mentioned this earlier, and I'll say it again. When the schedule comes out, you pick the one major thing you want to do each day, and you set aside 3 or 4 hours to say, okay, I'm probably going to have to spend most of my time either waiting in line or getting through to that panel, because you could try to do, and some people were lucky enough to do several really cool things each day, but the chances are that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
basically you have to focus on getting, like, if one thing is really early, you get there really early, and you might have time to get something later on in the afternoon to have a nice break for lunch, but you have to very carefully plan out your schedule. And if you don't want to go to any of the panels, the main stage's broadcasting and all the stuff they had there was that would have been good enough for me if that's all they had.
Yeah,
that wouldn't have been good enough for me, but it was entertaining. At least it would have worked for me for about a day. Then after that, I've been like, okay.
Well, they had different things each time. Like, for example, the live Let's Plays were so crowded they actually had to, like, stop people from surrounding it and force them to go into the other, which was the registration hall, and there was a screen there, so that was like overflow.
Oh yeah, we had to maintain we had to have certain areas that were for traffic for fire code, and so when they did those 2 Let's Plays, it was for the Achievement Hunter guys did their Let's Plays. We had to have a plan, and we had to tell people, and you can't stand here. And that's actually, like I told this before the podcast, it's where I met both Zach and Edwin. I was doing security for the second Let's Play, and it was really crowded, and we were keeping this area open. and I very quickly heard two people screaming my name out. And I look over, and they're like, "Yeah, these other guardians wouldn't let us get near you. They're like telling us you can't come here." I'm like, "Yeah, guys," and I got to meet them, which is really cool.
Like, Mr. Fusion, we love you!
Yeah, exactly. They asked for my autograph and everything. It was wonderful.
Can we have your babies?
I don't know about all that, but I mean, it did make me feel
they
kinda...
wanted your babies. I can already tell.
So it was, but I mean, there was so, and you guys know this, there was just so much to do that, you say you can do one thing and you can get to it, but there's so many other little things like visiting the Mega 64 booth. There was just so many things, and you have to be sure you A, drink plenty of water because you're going to do a lot of walking in that heat, and B, you do need to schedule your day out, what you want to do, and then also schedule a time you have to eat lunch because you're going to forget and you're going to get a headache or you're going to feel weird because you
protein bars are your best friend. Ken and I brought a whole bunch of them. You just stick them in your pack. When you start feeling lightheaded, sitting in line, and you're feeling cranky because you haven't eaten anything in 4 or 5 hours, you just pull out a protein bar and you feel better in like 5 minutes.
See, you guys are pros at these cons now. This is a great way to get you prepared for the next step, which is like WonderCon and Comic-Con. But, I was supposed to go to Comic-Con this year, and I'm going to tell you now, after working this con of 10,000, I am not going anywhere near that fucking place of 200,000 people.
Yeah, Comic-Con scares me. Now, after being to RTX and seeing how this was, and then how massive Comic-Con is, I think, I'm just gonna watch the highlights of Comic-Con.
You know what scares me the most is
it's kind of the same thing with E3.
E3, all the other major things,
conventions. Yeah. See, for me, there's two words that I don't fear, but it really makes me nauseous thinking about: con funk.
What?
Oh, yes. Fortunately, I didn't smell a lot of it at RTX.
By day 3, you could start to smell which kids really weren't bathing the whole weekend because the first 2 days weren't too bad, but, that last day, some of those lines were a little rank, I'll be honest with you. Some of those lines for the panels were a little rank, and I've been told that that's probably the biggest problem with both PAX Prime and Comic-Con is the con funk, and that's probably one thing I don't like that really makes me just angry is smelling other people's stank. So
yeah, and like this is the modern era, the 21st century. All hotels have a shower, and it's not that hard to bring like 3 shirts. You can wear the same. This is what I did. I was in Texas for 10 days. I had 1 pair of shorts and 1 pair of jeans, and the rest were all shirts. I had lots of shirts because you can you have fresh underwear every single day, and you have a fresh shirt every single day. The pants don't really get dirty.
Nope.
And so you can eliminate packing lots of clothes that way, and you eliminate the of having too many clothes, and the ones that you do have are not gonna get that con funk. And as long as you wear deodorant and a clean shirt every day, you're not gonna smell. Just take a shower when you get back to your hotel. It's not that big a deal. I don't know. I don't understand why some people have such a hard time bathing.
It's just like 5 minutes of your time. You're not gonna miss anything important. Just walk in, turn on the shower, and jump out.
One thing I know about traveling: do not take you really don't want to take a shower in Florida, but you have to. It's desalinated water. You end up smelling like seawater.
Yeah, I've been to Florida a couple times, and I had that experience. And there's not where I stayed at. There was no such thing as actual cold water either. The water was always kind of warm.
I would have been fine with that. That's the worst thing about showers. I hate any cold showers. It makes me really reluctant if the water is too cold.
In my hotel where I was staying, it was literally searing hot. I think I got a blister or 2.
Oh yeah, I like taking really hot showers, and I was really pleased with the hot water that our hotels spit out. Yes, like my skin was like boily lobster red when I got out of the shower, and I'm like, yeah, this was a good shower.
Well, we're at 1 hour and 40 minutes, guys.
Woo!
It is time.
We could probably go another hour and 40 minutes and still not cover everything.
Yeah, but we'll bore our poor listeners to death. They're probably already tired of hearing us ramble on.
Probably.
Shout out to Alabama Zach, wherever you are.
Alabama Zach, you've just been shouted out to from the Forum Thread podcast. Your life is now complete. You can send us monetary donations.
Yes. I hope
And
I
Wes signs
right.
on right when we're done.
No, it was this guy. No, he was just this. He was someone we met in line, and we gave our gamer tags to. I'm not gamer tags. RT. Me and Rachel gave our RT names to him, and we were trying to, like, one of our goals for the entire convention was trying to pick out that guy because he had come to the convention alone, similar to what I had done the previous year, just alone without anyone there, and I just kind of floated around.
All alone and singular, you poor thing. Okay, guys, we have got.
If I ever go to RTX, I'll be that guy that stands out.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
really tall.
I'll keep my eye open for you, and then I'll take your arm in my arm and say, "Meta, let us go frolic amongst the unwashed masses," and you'll be so shocked and dumbfounded you'll just go along with it.
Yeah,
but that is our show for tonight, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and for those of you on